What is up, Dragon Ball Super players? My name is Pat O'Neill, and welcome to the first ever unaffiliated, unofficial, unedited, uranium something or other Dragon Ball Super card game podcast. I say our because I'm joined by my co-host Matt Coombs.
Oh, hey! Yeah, this is Matt. I'm doing this whole podcast thing with Pat. We might as well just call it the Uncast at this point.
Uncast. Yeah, well, that's fine. And then also Nick Botchus.
What's up, guys?
All right, so before, like, for those of you guys who are coming from Matt's channel who do not know me, I mean, nobody is coming from, I guess, Matt's channel or whatever, or you know what I'm saying. But basically, we're going to go over some introductions real quick and then just, like, explain to you who we are. So that way, for you guys who don't know who we are, well, we come from various different backgrounds. So for those of you guys who don't know who I am a former Naruto Shippuden card game player. Which is Bandai's previous game before this one, at least previous successful one. And I wrote a competitive blog called The Perfect Curve, and that was widely successful, and that basically landed me a design and testing position at Bandai for that game at the end of its lifespan. So most of my stuff comes from a design perspective more so than from a player. So with that, I will segue over to Matt.
Yep, so I am the person that does 3HG Productions, and before that, I was not a scrub. I was actually referred to as the Get Good God when I played Panini Dragon Ball Z, mostly because of my tirades and rants telling people to get good at the game because everyone was bad and I was not bad. In that, I did really well in the competitive scene. It was the first game I ever took seriously competitively, and then that resulted in a really successful year in 2016 that landed me a spot in Worlds, and I earned a lot of points. They called elite points, and that was pretty dope because I finished second in that. So that was kind of cool. And then other than that, I've dabbled in a lot of different card games, and yeah, that's about it. I have 2 dogs.
His intro is so much more like, it's so more robust than mine.
Sorry, dude. I mean, I could go down the list of all my achievements in the year of 2016, which was 3 top 4s, 2 top 8s, and a top 16, and placed in 6 out of 8 regionals that I went to.
So Matt is basically, I guess you could say, our comp player, our competitive player of the group.
Yeah.
That works.
Yeah.
And then there's me.
Yes.
Nick Botchus. So similar to Pat, my roots come from Naruto Shippuden card game. I played that since it first started. I played tons of games before that, probably since like 1996 or so. I played Pokemon, Magic, all those sorts of games. But my big game was Naruto, and I was pretty much one of like the main judges. I judged a lot of Shonen Jump championships, which are like regional levels. I helped out at nationals at Gen Con multiple years. And then at one point, I pretty much just became the rules advisor for the game. Mostly, I was answering questions indirectly through the Q&A on the forums. Yeah, so whenever there was a question, they would come to me, they would ask me, and then they'd post the answer.
Yeah. Mr. Wheat basically bailed, and it was left to Tyler, who was the former designer. Well, he was the lead designer at some point for Naruto. Yeah. Obviously, since Naruto's no more. And basically, he was just like, you got this, Botchus. So Botchus basically became the unofficial, official voice of all rules for that game. So he's basically.
I'd wake up in the morning. I'd see a bunch of messages from Tyler. I'd answer them all. I'd go to work.
Yeah, basically he was the guy that was telling the guy who was making the game what the rules were. So he is basically
a rules expert. Going to get into helping designing, but then the game was canceled.
The game crashed. Yeah. Set 29 does exist, guys. I know there's a fan
somewhere.
Yeah, I know there's a fan set that's coming out now. That's not really Set 29. Set 29 is like a bunch of bad cards and then Botchus making a really broken insect theme. So moving on from there, for those of you guys who don't know what a podcast is, basically there's not going to be any video if you haven't figured it out at this point. This is literally just all audio. It's just going to be us talking. Just leave it on in the background and listen to it in your car, your office, your school, wherever. And we're just going to basically shoot the breeze, so to speak, about things. Today's topic is going to be Set 3. We're going to just talk about our initial impressions on the format, just cards we like, cards we dislike, the new leader cards, and potentially where we think the format's going to end up being, at least at the start, because at this point I don't think anyone can predict where it's going to end by the end of set 3, because where it started in set 1 and 2, it definitely did not end.
The same way at all.
No, not even remotely. Like
so all of our impressions could be completely off, and the meta will evolve completely differently, or we might be spot on with a couple things. Who knows?
Yeah, we're not gonna know until way later on down the line, like we're saying. If we get it right though, like we get bragging rights for like an eternity.
Oh, absolutely.
Matt's gonna literally run with it. He'll just like, yeah, I called that. I'm the best.
Yes.
Hey guys, remember that time I said that thing about that card in that podcast?
that was me. Claim to fame.
So, all right, so we could just basically just hit the ground running. We're gonna basically just go by color. We're gonna talk about red cards first. So red in general, have never really been a fan of red in this game, because for those of you who don't know, I like playing tempo and definitely control. I do not like playing aggressive decks, because I do not like playing decks where only one mistake, costs you the game. Aggro in general is just kind of that, that archetype. I don't like that, not at all. So yeah, this is definitely not my color. If I had to pick a favorite card, it is either going to be Bodyguard, what is it, Legic? I think that's how you say it. AKA Red Cyber Dragon. If you played Yu-Gi-Oh, he's basically Cyber Dragon, because that card seems great for control. It slows the game down, and it's just a free body. I don't know. What is your guys' favorite cards in this?
Go ahead, Botchus.
My favorite card, which is funny, is probably the Leader Pan, because she's just so much value in one card. Even though I absolutely hate GT as a series, and I absolutely hate Pan as a character. So I hate this character, but I really
I hate
like
this
card,
character
so
also.
I'm probably just gonna like Sharpie over her, so I don't have to look at her when I play her.
Jeez.
Foil, you're gonna Sharpie on a foil. Damn.
That's right.
She's a rare. Yeah, no, I kind of underrated Pan a little bit, because again, I just don't like red, so I'm usually not looking at it. But after playing Eddie yesterday and getting absolutely blown out by the combo into play Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta, that was a kind of interesting. So for you guys,
just so you guys know.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah, okay. So since she's auto once per turn, if you happen to put a card into play on your opponent's turn, and it's a battle card, and it ends up becoming 20k or more with her 5,000 boost, you do draw a card. So you get to draw technically up to 2 cards per round between you and your opponent. So you play something on your turn, you draw a card, you place the Vegeta,
the
Super Saiyan double shot Vegeta, or you play the Topo, who comes into play on your opponent's turn also.
Yeah,
actually, and you get to draw a card.
I actually do like Topo quite a bit as well, because it's really weird, because it's kind of counterintuitive to red. Like, that's again another card that slows the game down, and it's really good when you are behind. Like, if your opponent has got this explosive, aggressive start, Topo actually is very good, because he literally controls the board and he stops your opponent from aggroing.
Exactly.
Well, the magical Christmas land thing would be something like, you get to play Vegeta, you get to draw a card, and then they attack you again. They put you to 4 or less life, and then you activate Flip, and then now that you're on your new side with your new effect, you play Topo to negate their next attack and draw another card. Mm-hmm. So you're pretty much untapping 2 energy, which pays for the Topo because they're already awakened, and then you're drawing an extra card. Yeah. So and you're just putting tons of pressure on the board.
I don't know if you want to have anything to add, Matt, but I was gonna jump in front of you for a second. And
continue.
The other card that is really, really nuts that I really like, and I hope I get a decent chunk of them, because you guys, for those of you who don't know, I like making meme decks, like decks that are just silly, because they're really, they're just fun to play. Obviously, the most successful, most famous one that I've had is Big Getty Star Trunks. Oh, good God, is Fearless Pan, the SR Pan, good in that deck? Oh, good God. Like, yeah. Like, if you could probably switch the leader, but it might be, I'm sorry, I'm actually confusing the decks. It's Pan that's good as the Getty Star leader, but, like, the Pan SR itself is, like, oh good god, you know, just really good in general for red Trunks. There you go. I literally have to correct myself there, but like these like decks that can spam out cards, like that pan is scary because like the double strike is what does it. You know,
Yes.
like it literally is. I thought Super Saiyan 3 Goku was already a good card from Tournament Pack 1. This card is that card on steroids.
So that is a good example of power creep then, you would say.
Yeah. It literally gives you a free block that there's nothing your opponent can do about because it has barrier, and then it's just the Super Saiyan 3 Goku effect with the same stats, might I add. And you just get double strike on top of it. So yeah, that's very, very good for the red Trunks deck that people already are playing the blue-red one. So wouldn't be surprised to see that card see play. But I'm sorry, I like I said, I confused it because I'm thinking about Pan in general. Like the leader Pan is like really good.
Yes.
The Getty Star leader. Like it's just super good. You're just like, I'll pay 1 mana to draw a card and put a guy in play. That's 20k. So yeah. Definitely want to try and build that. So go ahead. I've been like hogging it for quite a while. You could go ahead, Matt.
Oh yeah, no problem. So yeah, Pan in general is probably one of the leaders that I'm the most excited to play with. Just all the GT stuff in general, like the theme that they made, just that whole entire archetype I'm excited to play with. I actually just think that Fearless Pan and just a bunch of good stuff in the deck, along with like just playing mono red with chain attack and Bobbity still. Like yeah, Bobbity has the errata of using 6 red energy, but there's no better finisher in the game in a Pan deck than turn 6, play chain attack, play Bobbity from hand, get a Fearless Pan, get something else, and then your board is just massive. And now Bobbity's a 15k double striker. You have chain attack, you have your leader. Like the deck's just going to be really good at all points of the game, like early, mid, and late game. So I think that deck's just going to be a force to be reckoned with, like from the get go.
Actually, milling your opponent is a viable strategy with Pan, I hear. Referencing the fact that the other night I played Eddie and I literally decked myself trying to kill him.
That was your own fault.
Yeah, it is my own fault. I lost to a Pan deck by decking myself, which I'll go over that deck at some point during this podcast. So we will be talking about that for sure.
Yes.
Other red cards. So we mentioned Legic. Legic is a really good blocker. Your opponent plays a guy on their first turn. You just throw down a 15k blocker for free. And then you get to just play normally after that.
I will say,
and then,
as like design wise, I love the mutant machines. I just don't know if I want to play them. It's such a cool archetype. Like it's so cool. Like it feels kind of like Glad Beasts in Yu-Gi-Oh, but not really. Like it's just like look at all the pieces. They all do different things, and when you get all the pieces, you get this like amazingly cool payoff.
Yeah, so I'm a huge fan of just Dr. Mew in general. I mean, I have, of course, ties to him from playing the original Score version of the game, and he was actually one of my favorite characters, like a leader in that game, plus just the ultra rare from that set was just insane because you could just search for any 2 cards and just do whatever you wanted to. So the machine mutants are just cool in general, especially on the front side of Dr. Mew. The way he generates advantage is like he can just play a machine mutant that for 5k or less for free. And so essentially you'll just play either a Guru, the 1-drop Dr. Mew, or you can play the 1-drop, I think it's Natt. Yeah, you play Natt, and then that just goes and fetches you another card, so it just replaces itself. And then you start to build and put all these puzzle pieces together, like you said, to then form to Triple Union Super Sigma.
Yeah, you basically... No, it's not Triple Union Super Sigma. We're going to call it by its correct name, Voltron.
Yes,
and
you
form
Voltron. Yeah, and then you basically you'll get to swing with it, place in the drop area, draw 2 cards, and then choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards, and it loses 10k for the duration of the turn. And then this all just kind of fits into the strategy of probably my favorite cards, which are the General Rildo cards. Like the 5-drop and the 7-drop Rildo are just insane. So I'm really just excited to play decks that run Rildo. And then, of course, we were talking earlier about Planet M2 and just the effect that this card's going to have on the game going forward.
M2 is a really good field spell. If it wasn't for another field spell, which we'll talk about later, like it would easily be the best field spell in the game. Like, and honestly, it's still in contention. You guys don't understand how impactful it is to just literally neg your opponent's leader by 5k every turn for free. Like, your opponent basically, that's like, you know how everybody says Soul Striker is obviously good because of the untap, but like at 5 or more energy, the 20k is brutal because your opponent has to pitch 2 cards. That effect is live on turn 1 as long as you have M2 in play. So your opponent's basically going to be pitching 2 cards to be stopping any attacks anyway. So like, you know, more great tools for aggro.
Yeah.
Right, you'll definitely be getting through. And then if you use the Trunks, what is his name? Quick Rush Trunks, you're just critting your opponent constantly.
Yeah, that card.
So he's
That
a
card,
2-drop
if you
15k
go like,
with crit.
yeah, if you go like turn 1 M2 and then turn 2, like if you're playing Pan, like you go turn 1 M2, turn 2 crit Trunks to, you know, 20k crit when your opponent's leader is like 5k, like you're not blocking that. That's not
No. And with Pan, you're just going to essentially just give it 5k and draw a card off of it.
Speaking
Right.
of which, the starter deck Pan is also quite good. The
Mhm.
1-drop 5.
Oh, yes.
That card is basically going to end up being, if you were playing primarily red, that card is like a 4-of. You're going to need that card.
You jam it in.
It's Red's Majin Buu. It's not quite as good, but it's Red's Majin Buu.
But it's on plan. It does everything you want it to do. Just giving you, because you're going to swing combo with it, gain 5k, and then draw a card off of it, which is exactly what you want.
Like
Right, so you're basically giving something plus 10k for 1 mana.
Exactly.
And then drawing a card. So.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So that card, like heavy red decks, that card plus Kaba, like that's it. I mean, they finally have like a real 1-drop package, whereas some other colors, green, still don't.
We'll talk about that in a second.
Well, not a second.
When we get to green.
When
Well,
we get
we'll
to-
talk
when we
about
get
it in
to
a little
green.
bit.
So yeah,
When we
like
get to green.
red overall is really hard for me to gauge. Design-wise, everything in here is really awesome, except for the Trunks and the Goku cards. I really just think that the Goku cards are very like generic. They're very much just like that. Like I get it. It's supposed to be like the level up mechanic, I guess, from like how Yu-Gi-Oh did it, where it's just like, look at my 1-drop Goku. It gets me, another Goku for my deck, and then you're just supposed to keep evolving on top of them and getting like, maintaining advantage. But like, we all know that the way this game is played, like it's not gonna stick. You're not gonna just
your guy will die very soon after you play.
Like, I'm sorry.
Unless it has barrier or something.
I can't really co-sign on, why, you're paying what, red 1 to evolve just to draw 2 cards. Like, no, I'm good. I don't want to be playing cards like
in
that.
limited, it's not bad.
Yeah, limited Goku is great.
There are some good cards for limited.
Yeah, red is actually quite good in
red.
limited here, because the new super combo Handy Gyro is like literally just, Vados. If I'm not mistaken, yeah. He's basically just
But it's better because it's Giru.
No,
And
actually it's not,
mutant.
because it's not God, so therefore
But
it's
it's a
actually
machine
worse.
mutant, so you can play it. You can put it into play through
I don't think you
Dr.
can.
Mew on the flip side.
I think on the
his
flip
flip
side
side.
you might be able to, but I don't know why you would. But
Oh no, 10,000 power or less. Never mind.
yeah, but like so
That's
Gyro, I
unfortunate.
think Gyro is literally only good as if you're playing Mew, because God typing is actually much more relevant than Machine Mutant in this game.
Not true. Giru is the best character in all of GT.
You get out of here. I'm not really sure the place on the other starter deck card, the Trunks, the one that was causing a lot of problems with Bobbity. I am very unsure of where that is going to be in the metagame. Like, it's probably still going to be good just because you can evolve into it. Which, by the way, I'm still very confused as to how we went triple red 1 for Trunks, and his evolve cost, I believe, is just red 1. It's either red
Just
or
red.
It's just red. So yeah, like we went from 3 specific symbols to 2, which could be dangerous down the line if another combo option appears. Like it might be, I don't know, man. Like I just wouldn't have done that. I would have done triple red. Like it feels really weird when you have a card that requires X number of specific symbols and you reduce it by 1 for the evolve cost. Usually you're reducing the colorless.
There's a few of them.
Yeah, no,
Golden Frieza. The 7-drop Golden Frieza is actually 4 and 2 yellow on his evolve, and he's 7 with 3 specific yellow.
like I understand for like Vegito because there's so many different colors and because that's how his deck works, but like it's just a very interesting design decision. I don't know if I would do that. I'm just nitpicking at this point, but
No, I mean that's valid though, because like turn 1 M2 or Pan, turn 2 quick attack Trunks, turn 3 evolve into chain attack Trunks for 2 red.
yeah.
and then you put down another...
And then put down another threat?
Another quick attack?
Another quick attack.
Yeah, sure.
And
then use Pan's ability.
Yeah,
use Pan's ability, yeah.
Like, it's just, I don't think I would have done that. That's all I'm saying. Like, it's basically, it's almost like they were just like, the Raging Kappa combo is not seeing any play. We need to make sure it's better.
Well,
yeah.
Mission accomplished. They got there.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else that, like...
I mean, there's a super rare Super Saiyan 3 Goku. He's interesting. Yeah. He's essentially
I like how they were just like red
attack.
Seems to be the color of just like creeping generic cards. It's just like Quick Rush Trunks. It's just a better version of the 3-drop crit Vegeta. Hidden Power Oob. Yeah, sure. Let's basically just make Mighty Striker Gohan for 3 mana. Yeah, sure. I mean,
yeah, no, they're pushing the color, but the thing is, like, the one thing I do like about super sets is if it carries over from when you look at the design of set 2 to set 3, is that instead of just creating generically good cards all around, they create cards that work within a niche or an archetype itself that comes out in the set.
Yeah, like
which is helpful.
I do like how Rildo is just basically, it's got like the black aspect from Magic. It's just like -X everything. So.
Yeah, he's honestly so far for all the cards that have been like previewed, he's just my favorite design so far. He just does the most unique things, and I just appreciate it.
Imagine double Rildoing off of a Babidi, -20k to their whole board.
Oh gosh,
probably wipes it.
And your leader basically is blanked. So.
Yep, that's my favorite.
Yep.
Does he affect leader cards?
Yes, he does. I believe.
It does?
Rildo does. I believe the SR one. I believe it references, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, your leader, the opponent's leader loses -5k.
Oh, I was talking about the 5-drop.
Oh, the 5-drop?
That gives
no, he does not.
-10k.
Okay. I thought you were talking about Metal Rildo.
Okay, because there is an important note, everyone. Cards can go to negative power. It's in the CR currently. It was updated recently. It's one of the red text updates. Obviously, for battle cards, as soon as they reach 0 power or less, they are KO'd. Yeah. But for your leader, if you were to ever hit your opponent's leader with multiple negative effects that would put them to below 0, they are treated as whatever that negative number is. So, for example, if they were 10k and you gave them -20k, they're a -10k power leader. So, in order to you'd have to combo back up to 0 and then further beyond that. So I'm sure something will come up at some point where that will be important. Maybe in the next couple sets there'll be more leader effects like that that give negative power to your leader. But as of right now, I don't think it's actually possible to put your opponent's leader negative yet.
Yeah, you now inspired me to do everything I can when the set drops to live the dream in Babidi and to double 5-drop Rildo.
Nice.
It's the dream, man. Because when he attacks, you choose one of their battle cards, and then it loses 10k as well.
No, you KO anything with 10k or less power. So if anything actually survives the -20k, then they're going to just instantly die to Rildo.
Yeah, which it's so disgusting. Yeah, all right.
Double strike, so good stuff.
Yeah, all right. That's red stuff.
That's red stuff.
Yeah.
So let's
there's the hold on. There's the Saiyan negate, which is really cool.
Oh, the Saiyan negate I think might actually bring back Red Goku, which I still never thought was a bad leader. I don't understand why people don't like it. Like, there are certain leaders, like, that's just a hang up I have with this game. There are certain leaders like Blue Dual Attack Goku and like even Red Goku that are just very strong leaders. It's just they're missing like 1 or 2 key cards that make them relevant. The card is not bad. It's just they're like Dual Attack Goku is a really strong control leader, but it's in the color that's not really control-y. So like if that color ever gets control cards, then that leader just becomes insane. So like Red Goku's like the same way. Like he's just like he's a control leader in a color of aggressive cards. So this is like one piece to the puzzle that makes him incredibly relevant. I mean, yeah. I don't know.
So who are your Red Saiyan leaders? Pan is your Red Saiyan leader.
There's only 3.
Setsu Goku.
It's Goku and then Majin Vegeta.
Majin Vegeta, correct. Yeah. Okay.
So and the Goku from the starter deck as well.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
GT Goku.
GT Goku.
Yeah.
So you have some options with that.
Okay. So let us move on to blue. Blue is like just my overall feelings of blue. Blue has some really, really awesome combos, and it has also some really degenerate things it can do that have either been changed due to rules or are still degenerate, but really inconsistent. So that's my 2 cents. So
my 2 cents is Supreme Weskai. Just being a mana dork is probably my favorite thing about blue this set.
I will say this about West Supreme Kai. So West Supreme Kai will make Zamassu relevant, like the leader,
and Goku Black even more so, because now on turn 2 you can objection on 2, then leader power, and then play a Supreme Weskai in the same turn.
Yes, it is possible if you optimal hand it, you can probably get the 10-drop Zamassu out on turn 4 or 5.
Yeah, that's disgusting.
Which is like, good game, sir. I'm going to grind you out
now.
now.
Because you stick the West Kai and you just leave her there until you absolutely actually need to tap her for something.
I'll talk more about it later, but Zamassu is my pick for most improved leader coming into this set for sure. He seems like he's just going to be very powerful. Like right now, he's almost a non-factor. He got so many things in this that I just... So something we didn't talk about when we were in red. We didn't talk about red's dash pack card, which I don't think we really have to because I don't think it's that good. I think it's the worst out of all of them. But I do like Piccolo the Strategist.
Yes.
So the thing about Piccolo the Strategist is that everybody's like, oh man, he's ridiculous, and you guys are going to go way out of your way to get as many as you want. Obviously, you're going to want a playset, but like, people I think are overhyping him just a little bit. I think he's very good, but he's only good in like mono blue, because I think a lot of people are overlooking that triple blue cost.
Yeah. Well, okay. So first of all, it's Piccolo, so that immediately makes him
It
makes him like the best card. Number 2, he's a god, so that means he fits into these decks that want to run Gawasu really well. So this is a tutorable 4-drop kill spell. He has critical. He has barrier. This card just does it all. He's like the LeBron James of 4-drops.
The LeBron James. Yeah. Eddie's saying to me last night, he's like, bro, he sucks, man. But I'm like, why? And he's like, because you use his skill. It negates the skill for the rest of the game. The 2nd, 3rd, and 4th copies in your deck are terrible. And I'm like, oh my god. It's that card. The one that's in play. The 2nd, 3rd, and 4th are their own things. Like, it's only this card. And he's like, okay. Like, and then like he started to get it and was like, oh man, I'm an idiot. Then this card's ridiculous because this is literally Energy Boost Beerus with barrier that you can't call Bloodlust.
That has crit and a 0-5k combo, and you can play it on 4.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you bounce him, you get to reuse him, because once he's back in your hand, it's a new card.
Golden Freeze on 5!
Exactly, Golden Freeze on 5.
Yeah, or, you know, Kibito Kai. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to advocate Kibito Kai. Kibito Kai is actually, I think it's too conservative of a design. Like, if you guys don't know what Kibito Kai does, he's a 2-drop, you rest him, and then you bounce one of your guys to bounce one of their guys that's 3 or less. And I'm like, was it so much to ask that you bounce something of equal value or less? Like, was that too hard? Like, did we really have to like be like, yes, you basically get to free kill my 2-mana guy and get rid of a guy that I already paid resources for to basically summon
But you could always bounce. You could bounce a 1-drop that has an enter effect.
Yeah, but that's like
bounce their 3-drop.
That's whatever, dude. If I'm gonna be
it's
doing
still
that,
something.
If I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna play what's his name, South Supreme Kai, who is a monster, by the way.
Yeah.
South Supreme Kai.
He's a beast.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite cards as well. But of course,
it bounces one of their guys. My bad. So, but the point is, that card is a beast. That card is, again, we're creeping. They're just like, hey, Vegeta wasn't good enough. Let's just add a bounce effect on it, and make him tutorable.
Yeah, and
he's a god.
Just the curves you can set up in blue with this set alone. So, like, turn 3, if you wanted to play your South Kai, turn 4, you can either play your Piccolo or you play your Final Explosion Prince of Destruction Vegeta, which
board clears.
He can. Yeah, he just board clears and puts himself back into the deck. Like there's just a lot of generically good cards that came out for blue, like aside from just like the niche
Yeah.
Majin Buu stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
that also means that Mono Blue Soul Striker is again like a pretty good option. You don't need Kale because you literally have Vegeta to do the same thing. I mean,
Yep.
it's obviously not quite as good as Kale because Kale has the option to for sure stick around, and Kale draws you the card. But like one of the main reasons I kept hearing about why we have to go blue green and Soul Striker is because they have the board clear. I mean, that's not really an excuse anymore. Like mono blue is very real, very consistent, and very fast now.
and you can still play Ultra Instinct Goku at the top if you wanted to, just because.
Yeah, I don't know. That's one of those things. Like Ultra Instinct was the for sure pick for me when before the rules change because of rapid, like because of crit, triple strike. Can't stop it. But I don't know. I don't think we should count out Spirit Bomb Goku just because like that card is just a beating, man. Like the only downside of that card is like you can't really be overwhelming too much in a deck that has that, which means he could actually fit quite well into a Zamasu deck because I actually we'll get to it like I said we'll get to it in time, but he works like kind of well there if you need to like as a cyborg card because one of the other finishers for the Zamasu deck that I think is ridiculous is really bad against Bloodlust, whereas this card could be Bloodlusted, but if it sticks around it's much more threatening. So I don't know, the Kais in general are quite good though. Like I think East Kai is pretty disappointing. He's obviously draft filler, but North Supreme Kai I also don't think is that good either.
No.
I mean, somebody was like, but yo, you can use him to untap your 2-drop. I'm like, I'm basically like going -1 to do that. I'm not going to do that.
Nope.
It's not good value.
I'll play South and West all day, though.
The other thing that we have to talk about is, and this is what I was talking about, Degenerate at the beginning of the thing, Majin Buu Dawn of the Rampage is silly. I have no idea what they were thinking with this card.
Card's pretty okay.
You think it's pretty okay?
I've actually not read this card.
It's a pretty solid card, actually. So, I built a list myself with this card in it already that I want to test, and
I've been already testing this deck, and it's either it does one of two things. It either is just meh, or it instantly like wins the game on turn 2. And that is like one of the things where I'm just like, why Bandai? Because like it's not gonna win. It's not gonna win like a regional. I don't think it will unless somebody finds a way to make it really consistent. But if you're playing Mecha, like basically it's yellow, blue, red Majin Buu combo. You play this card. You basically ramp up because you've got the actual good Mecha hand. You can drop this guy on turn 2, and literally activate his ability. And then search for the 5-drop red Buu, and then put your Gohan underneath of it, and then you have Buuhan.
Yep.
And if you're
and he has barrier.
And so now you're like, hey, I'm gonna basically pass turn with a 30k dual attack, double striking, barriered, behemoth.
Who can also draw a card if you're using the ability.
Who can also draw up to 2 cards a turn.
And attack all your battle cards.
Yeah, like that's the deck. Is like you play that, and then you basically stick them at like 5 to 6 based on the leader on turn 2. And if obviously it's gonna live on turn 3 because nothing is gonna be big enough to get through it, and you can't kill it because it has barrier. And then it's like, all right, cool, I'm gonna untap, and then I'm gonna just like smack you in the face with it with double strike twice, and then I'm gonna immediately EX evolve into Kid Buu and then just destroy you.
Yep.
So. Yeah, it's like a wombo combo deck. You instantly just end their life. There's nothing they can do about it. But if the thing is that all those pieces are really clunky. So I'm still trying to refine it. You let me know if your deck ends up making the cut, Matt, because I'm like terrified of that combo. I don't know what they were thinking. Like anytime you print a mechanic like barrier, where it takes away options from your opponent, is dangerous because, at least in my opinion, a competitive game, a skill-based game, is an exchange between two players, and anytime you limit options from one of those players, I feel like it makes the game less skill intensive because you're denying choices for like no real reason. It's like it's lazy. Rather than say like, hey, we need to find a way to fix the KO every card KO problem. Let's just make everything hexproof, which is just barrier. Barrier is basically Magic's version of hexproof. And that leads to a pretty dangerous precedent because what ends up happening is if every card ends up getting barrier, or every card that is good is based on whether or not it has barrier, you're slowly taking away control from like players. There's less decisions that can be made, and that's the slippery slope that Naruto and other games with power creep go down, and which is why you'll eventually need a block format if it gets out of hand. So that's something they'll have to address design-wise in the long run, in my opinion.
So what do you think about blue botches? We just ranted for like 15-ish minutes.
You pretty much hit everything. You talked about the Majin Buu cards. You talked about the Kais. Obviously, Hercule got an errata, so no one cares about Hercule anymore.
I do. He's still the champ.
Kabuto Kai. So Kabuto Kai is interesting from a rules perspective because of the whole separated sentences. The way he works is if you have 4 or less life, obviously you gain the 10,000 power on him. But since he's separated from everything else with the rest of his effects, it says then choose up to one of your opponent's combo cards in your opponent's combo area and return it to the hand. So even if you are at 5 or more life, when you combo with Kabuto Kai, you won't get any plus, but you'll get to bounce something like Jocko. And then if they have no cards in their combo area, you'll still draw a card. So if like push comes to shove, absolutely, for some weird reason, you need to use him above 5 life, you will still bounce a combo card, and if they have no combo card, you'll still draw a card.
Yep.
So that's something to think about, at least.
Reasons why Zamasu is the most improved leader in this set.
Rebirth of Justice as an extra card.
That card's design. I think that card is too... In this game, bounce is not good enough because everything has such high impact ETB, put in play, whatever you want to call it, cards. That
Correct.
is my issue. It's literally the same problem Forza Will had when it first came out. Is cheap blue bounce spell seems great in theory. Like Boomerang's never going to be like the best card, but the card is solid. But when the format is literally like, hey, giving your opponent the put in play effect is literally like tossing the game away.
But
now, if this card,
yeah, good,
put it in play from the discard pile, like the name would suggest, Rebirth of Justice, this card would be very good.
You know what this card needs? Like what?
But this card is a -2 to put in play something a turn early, and sure, you're bouncing your opponent's card, but like Pat said, a lot of cards have enter effects that do a lot of damage. So you're just giving them something to reuse against you next time.
So one of the things, so the problem with extra cards in this game is that you need to be cheap enough to always be readily available, or the big ones need to make some kind of crazy impact because extra cards don't combo, and if they don't offer you combo power in a pinch, they ruin the consistency of your deck. And since we are in a really fast format, and it's only going to get faster with this set, not having a combo power on a card is a massive liability no matter what. That's why we were saying Piccolo being 0 cost for 5k combo is so good, because you only have so much energy to go around. If a card is not always going to do something for you or do something very efficiently, you don't want it. So like if this card literally had cycling for 2, it'd be so much better. Like for you guys who don't know what cycling is you pay that amount of energy, you know, like basically be during like the combo step of this game, you draw a card. So if this card literally said if it was in your hand, you could pay 2 colorless to draw a card and discard it, like that would be fine. And like that's one of the things that they need to do.
That would be an interesting effect, yes, on extra cards if there were ways to use extra cards for other things.
Correct.
Not specifically just slap a combo cost on extra cards.
That's lazy, because then that makes like, you know, that makes Mecha even better. But the point, like there should be a drawback to extra cards. That's one of the things that it should be for balance reasons. But the thing is that nobody wants to play extra cards unless they are high impact or low cost. So
I will say the blue extra card that I do want to play, I mean, you have to play Majin Buu Leader, is the most evil absorption in history. I think it's just a 3-minute. As long as you have a Buu in play, it's a three mana kill anything spell.
But the thing is, yeah, so that's quite good. But I think that
what we need to address though is with that card, if your leader's Majin Buu, can you just place it under your Majin Buu?
That I want to know that because it says just choose one of your Majin Buu, but it doesn't specify.
Right.
And
So
Majin Buu already gets cards under it anyway.
I feel like it doesn't.
I feel like it. I actually feel like it does. I feel like
the Ginyu ruling says if you have 2 of your Ginyu force and he doesn't count himself.
Yeah, but he says choose if you have 2 Ginyu force in play, but your leader is not in play.
That's true.
That's what it is. However, I do think it does work that way. I do think you do put it under the leader card because Majin Buu as a leader works with
cares about cards
beneath him. So I think it does.
Which, if you can, then the card is just even more disgusting.
Yes. So my biggest problem with Majin Buu as a leader is that he is super solid as Fat Buu. The Kid Buu payoff is not there, in my opinion.
What? You don't think so?
No, I don't think it. I don't.
You can activate it as many times as you want.
Let me go reread this. Man.
Choose 5. It's activate main. Choose 5 cards.
It's not once per turn.
Yeah, so you can just keep switching him to active mode.
You Manaka him once, and then he's just double strike.
Yeah, and then he keeps gaining 5k each time you activate it.
Okay, I mean, but realistically, are you going to have 10 or 15 cards underneath him?
Dude, if I play my most evil absorption in histories and I keep swinging.
So realistically, let's say like if you go,
let's say 10 cards.
Yeah.
Well, if you most evil absorption in history their cell, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards.
But every time you attack with Buu, you get 1 card. You need 5 cards. So like realistically, you're getting 1 proc every 5 turns. So like the leader's ability does not proc until like turn 5 or 6.
Well, even him just getting dual attack.
Yeah.
Is still worth it.
Yeah, just 1 extra swing.
Yeah, but would you really play a leader that only gets an extra swing until at 5 or 6 mana? When you could just be playing Vegeta or Goku and just get incremental advantage every turn?
Look, dude, flavor, okay?
I get it. He's super cool leader. I don't see why you'd want to play it over the other leader in the set, which is the Goku that everyone's obsessed with.
Honestly, the main reason why is because I'd get to play the most evil absorption in history. That's why I'd want to play the leader, because it's a 3-mana kill anything.
Yeah,
it can't be interacted with.
I understand the card. You don't have to sell me on the card. I think the card's solid. I think that card is solid. I don't know.
But the cost of doing it is playing a bad leader.
But the thing I worry about is that it's going to have the same problem that Assassination Plot had, which is like huge.
That card's busted. Shut up.
That card is huge. Like destroys everything. Huge kill spell.
No body.
But no body. You don't advance your board state. So I don't know. Being in a leader that doesn't have the you have to play a leader that doesn't have the untap ability like the 2 Gokus do. So you're basically like relegated to having, I don't know, you just like that's basically your play. If you're playing that like early game, like turn 3, it's kind of great, but at that point, like what's on turn 3 that's like actually relevant that's not named Cell?
I mean, I would still play it on later. I mean, either way.
Yeah, it's solid. I would have to like play more and see.
Of course.
Yeah. Goku.
Oh, the Son Goku leader you're talking about, who just but with his activation, you basically only get to activate that ability once.
Correct.
Yes.
You do it at the start of the turn or the start of the game. So on your first turn, you discard a card, you get 2 energy. So you start the game with 2 energy.
Yeah, you basically start with 2 energy, but your max is 6.
Right. Which is fine because you're untapping mana at the end of every turn, or at the end of your turn.
So this card is still really good because you can just get ahead. Obviously, you basically start with the objection, but like because West Supreme Kai exists, like you can actually circumvent that passive. You could actually go higher. And then obviously the ability to untap 3 is really good. That said, I think he's really good as other stuff as well. Like mono green hand destruction seems pretty good with him.
Yeah, because you can get to your stuff faster.
You can get to cell absorption faster, and it doesn't actually like hinder you to do so. You can literally just be like, I'm gonna cell absorb you now, and then okay, cool, end turn, I'll untap 3.
Yeah.
Right. He can be played pretty much as any color.
Yeah, he can be played as any color. He is quite good in my opinion. The only thing I don't think I would play him as is like I don't know if I would want to play him as yellow. I don't think it's like worth really playing him as yellow, but like the other 3 colors, he's pretty good. Like
I agree with that.
Yeah, as red, he gets big bodies into play quite quickly.
Yeah, you can go turn 1 crit trunks, which is fun.
Yeah, turn 1 crit trunks is quite good. And then obviously like he's good just because Bobby. You were saying Bobby is a great mono red finisher. That's literally 6 energy, and you don't tap out to do it. That's fine by me.
Yeah, that's gross.
Yeah, so he is definitely. I think he's like the front runner of all the new leaders that are coming out. He's the front runner. He's the one that everybody I think is talking about. He's the one that everyone's going to end up playing. I think Majin Buu.
Well, they'll try to play him, and then I think he'll get a lot of attention, and then people will just stop playing him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. Majin Buu definitely something that's more fun to brew with, though. I feel like than Goku.
Yeah, for sure.
He's a much more interesting leader. This Goku is very straightforward.
Yeah, he's
gives
very
you extra energy at the price of not giving you an energy cap, but you start at 2, and then you get to untap mana at the end of your turn. So it's pretty much what he does.
I don't know why they have this fascination with just giving you free mana. I don't know. I don't know. I don't understand it. Like
blue is like the color of literally like have a bajillion resources that basically break the rules of the game. And that's kind of one of the reasons why I think that the format is as fast as it is, because of basically all the fast decks add blue to their deck to just try to break the energy rules of the game. Which is like, that should be a giant heads up. That's like, hey, stop doing that. But as I've said for some of you guys that have seen my previous videos, when the way design cycles work, it's like they're about a set and a half ahead of us. So like any problems that are apparent in set 1 don't really get addressed until like set 3, unless they catch it really early. So like Ginyu, the prevalence of Ginyu and Cold Bloodlust, that didn't happen until like the very end of set 1. Which is why it's now being addressed in set 3, when it wasn't addressed at all in set 2, because it had to be caught basically immediately at the start of set 1. So, yeah, that's also why I think the game is just going to be just ludicrously fast, because there's no way to deal with that or answer the fact that the format is so quick until set 4, because they didn't realize how fast the game was until basically the tail end of 2, and I'm hoping that they actually caught it. So yeah, moving on. Green.
Vegito Leader. So Vegito Leader is one of those energy untapped leaders who draws a card when you attack a leader on the front. So you're getting your advantage ahead of time instead of drawing your 2 when you awaken. And then he flips, and you realize that this Vegito wants you to play a lot of removal, a lot of board clears, because you do not want your opponent to have battle cards in play so that he gets huge. If your opponent has no battle cards when he attacks, he's a 25k double strike. So that's pretty good.
And then we go to
don't
game.
Know the exact deck.
Yeah, and then we go to game 2, and they side in their 2 copies of Evil Psyche Zamasu.
Correct.
And then you're like, wow, my leader is terrible. So, if you can't guess, I am not a fan of this card. I think it's too... It's too win more. It's like you really have to be winning for this card to be worth it.
Oh yeah, because you have to play the game of keep your opponent's board clear in order to get any advantage on your leader. I mean, his second effect, if they have 2 or less battle cards, which happens a lot, he gets the extra 5,000. But you really want that double strike.
I really just don't see a reason to I mean, you can play him if he's fun, but I'm saying competitively, I don't know if I would even take the time.
So the thing I like about leaders that on their front side allow you to draw a card when attacking is that it helps you when it helps combat everyone that's a self-awakening leader, because it just helps these leaders keep pace with them, and so they can make a game end up dragging out longer than it should because of the fact that the opponent, they're self-awakening themselves.
Which proves my point from what I was saying about design cycles, by the way.
Yeah.
When this set was designed, literally at the beginning of set to mid set 1, what was the king at that time?
Self-awakening leaders.
Self-awakening leaders, because they got ahead on card advantage.
Which is why in set 3 now we have
leaders that draw a card.
Right.
On the front side.
Yep.
So set and a half behind like that set, which is.
I'm trying to think of I will say the thing. Actually, not hold on. The one thing I don't like design wise overall in green is that green is just it is so android heavy. Literally after we just got done a set where androids was already insane. I don't know what their reasoning was to push it even further.
Because Android 13, 14, and 15 are the coolest androids.
I think Android 21 disagrees with that, but moving on.
So Android 13 leader is super flavorful.
Yes.
So he awakens early if you've got the 2 pieces in your graveyard or drop area, just like in the anime when he got stronger because he absorbed 14 and 15 after they were destroyed. And then on his flip side, as soon as I read that, when your opponent's Son Goku is in the drop area, I was just like, oh man. But then also any battle card with a cost of 6 or less. So they kind of balanced it, because if it was just Son Goku, that would just be absolutely awful, because not every single deck plays Goku. So, but there's a pretty good chance a battle card with an energy cost of 6 or less is placed in the drop area.
Yeah,
it's gonna be happening quite often. So you're gonna be getting that critical quite a bit.
That's so strong.
I mean, we haven't discussed it yet, but my biggest problem with Android 13 as a leader is that Mira is in the same set. That's my biggest problem.
I mean, but they're doing 2 different things. I mean, I know that they both have critical and stuff, but they're fitting into completely different decks.
Are they? I don't know, because Mira cares about being green and is an android. So, I don't know.
But Android 13 has the early awaken ability on the front, which gives you some incentive to, play the other androids with him.
Yeah,
obviously.
But the other leader,
you're going to be playing androids with him.
Yeah, but the other leader draws cards when it attacks on the front. So Quick Awaken. Yes. Quick Awaken.
We'll talk about it when we get to black.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. I think I would rather play Mira than 13, but that's just me. For the same deck. I guess this is a good time to since we're talking about androids, to plug what I've been saying for a bit. Why did they feel the need to just not only make androids, they pushed androids, I feel so hard in this set, after just giving us a ruling that basically buffed androids. So I'm not saying androids.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I just feel that's
so now you've got so you got 2 new androids that you can play. That are 2 drops in. Okay, so here's the thing. Android 17 leader, I think, got the biggest buff out of all the Android leaders, because now he's got 2 new Android 17, a new 17 and a new 18 with critical. We're going to be 15Ks for 2, and then when you flip and you're at 4 or less, they're going to be 20K crits that have an ability that you trigger it, you activate it, and then if you get to pretty much put and play another android. Yeah. So you have the 17.
17 gets you an 18. So
18,
that actually
18 gets you a 17. Or no, 18 KOs a card.
That's yes, right. An 18 KOs a card. Basically, 18 says when a card, basically a battle card, enters from any area into the discard pile, you basically get to KO a guy that costs 3 or less.
By one of your skills, correct?
Yes. So
now,
if you
critical will trigger that.
Yeah, critical will trigger that. So if you attack with 18. Yeah, go ahead. I'm stealing your thunder here. So.
Okay, right. So you attack with 17. He crits your opponent. If it's a battle card, you can then activate the activate main ability that he has, and that will check to see, okay, a card was placed during this turn with an energy cost of 3 or less. So, and it was because of your skill. So now you get to put the 18 in play. Mm-hmm. And then same thing with 18, you get to KO something. So,
and then you could, if you wanted to, you could do the 17 and then put the twin sister 18 into play, swing with the 18, and then untap your 17 again.
Correct.
So there's a lot you can do. So it's definitely really like more combos to do with Android 17 leader in general.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
The super combo is also pretty disgusting.
I actually do not like it, but I know a lot of people like it. So I mean, I must be doing something wrong, but I don't like. So my problem with 16 is when you fall behind on your opponent in card advantage, I'd rather have the card that keeps me at parity than the card that makes us both go -1 when I play.
But if I'm playing Cell Chain,
then it's disgusting. Yeah, it feels very win more to me. I don't like playing win more cards. I like cards that either maintain my advantage or help me get it back advantage.
No, dude, I want to win as hard as possible. The most.
That's the difference in play styles, and that's the great thing about different players and card games.
Yeah.
You can elaborate on it more, Botchus, but the other thing that really rubs me the wrong way about androids in the set is they introduced barrier, which as a mechanic, which I just said I don't like. I don't think it is a well-designed mechanic, and I would not have made the mechanic. They introduced a way to essentially get around barrier in the same set, and then immediately nullified it with their rollings. So how it works in other card games is if a card can't be targeted, but a card affects the player. So like, let's say the card in question we're talking about here is the Android 14, the one that combos. Which one is it? It is combination attack Android 14. During your turn, when you combo this card, if your leader is an android, your opponent chooses one of their battle cards and KOs it. So this is the kind of effect that should get around barrier, where you say, okay, you pick a card. You tell your opponent to pick a card, and then they have to KO it. So because they are the one that is choosing the card, it gets around barrier. Your skill is not doing it. I am putting an effect on the player. The player's effect is what gets rid of it.
Right. So the problem is it's the word choose, the term choose, and the way they want choose to work as a mechanic, like within the game rules. Mm-hmm. So in Magic, for example, Magic is nice and simple in the sense that they have sacrifice mechanic. So you destroy something or things can be sacrificed. Sacrifice would get around any sort of protection. So if you are making your opponent sacrifice a creature, it doesn't matter if it can't be targeted. It's not being targeted. It's just saying, take one of your creatures and put it in the graveyard. With combination attack Android 14, that's pretty much what they were going for. But what they did was they said chooses one of their battle cards and KOs it, when they could have said your opponent KOs one of their battle cards, which would get around the whole choose thing. So the problem is, obviously, if you have a card with barrier and it's your only card in play, you cannot choose that card. And since it's your opponent's effect still from Android 14 that is making you choose a card, you can't choose your barrier card. So if the barrier card is the only card in play, nothing happens. Obviously, if you have a really big barrier card in play and a Majin Buu, you actually have to choose the Buu. So there are situations that might come up where you have a little barrier guy and a big non-barrier guy, and the fact that your little guy has barrier is actually going to be a detriment because you're going to have to select your big guy that doesn't have barrier. So it's balanced in that sense that it can hurt you as much as it can help you. But it's still they shouldn't have used chooses like that and then gone and say, okay, well, choosing is pretty much targeting. That's pretty much what it is choosing is targeting in this game. I don't think any cards actually have the word target on them. They all say choose. So that's your targeting mechanic in this game, is choosing. And yeah, that's pretty much the rules situation for that card.
Yeah, there's just a lot to talk about with this color. they finally the color finally got 1-drops, but it's not like, unless you're playing Android, it's not like a complete 1-drop package. Like obviously Dr. Giro is quite good if you're playing an Android deck. Like there's not really much to say about there. He basically draws your whole deck. And then, you know, Create Android is great. I think that's a well-designed card. You know, if your leader's an Android, draw 2 cards, then place a card from your hand in the drop area. That's a great card. Because, you know, it's just relevant at all stages of the game. It's not really overpowered at all. You're literally plus zeroing. And you have to be playing a specific archetype. That's great. I'd like to see more of that. Except
Well, does it say if your leader is
an Android.
Green or just Android?
It's an Android.
Just Android.
Yeah, so that falls into the how good Mira would be as a leader.
Yeah.
Correct.
Because turn 1 on the draw, create Android, swing with Mira, put 2 cards in the drop area, then play Time Patrol.
Yeah, he's quite, yes. Mira is quite a good leader. And like I said, that's fine because you're basically, you have to be playing, you know, one of these leaders, and like, you know, it kind of is, you know, I just think it's well designed. I'd like to see more cards like that, except for ones that say Saiyan, because this, you know, the series is just overpopulated with them. So anything you make that requires a Saiyan might as well be for everybody. Which is one of the reasons why Segway Trunks Bridge to the Future is such a good card. So for you guys who don't know, that's the 1-drop green 5k Trunks. When you play this card, look at the top 2 cards of your deck, choose one Saiyan among them, and place it in your hand. Put the rest of the cards in the drop area. So obviously it's good fuel for Overwhelm, whichever card you don't choose. And since there's so many Saiyans, like, it's really easy to just trigger this card.
I actually have a set 3 Soul Striker deck build that is green-blue, and it's pretty much all Saiyans.
I mean, the current Soul Striker deck is all Saiyans. Think about it.
It's pretty much all Saiyans.
Like,
correct, yeah.
Or, like, you just think about it. It's like Kind Saiyan Goku, Rapid Onslaught if you went that build. Bundle Goku, that's a Saiyan.
Mm-hmm.
Kale, that's a Saiyan. Determined Super Saiyan Gohan, that's a Saiyan. Super Saiyan Gotenks, that's a Saiyan. Time Patrol Trunks, that's a Saiyan. Mass Saiyan, that's a Saiyan. So, just Saiyan. Come on, you guys knew that poem was coming.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
I was aware.
So,
it was cute, though.
Yeah, he is a very good card. You can do a lot of things with them. Speaking of other great early game cards, Kaba and Caulifla is like a very obvious thing. I think those cards single-handedly can make Broly make a comeback. Like, they are just that good. Caulifla especially. Caulifla kind of just negates the entire drawback of Broly, like, and she's just generically good. Like 2-drop 20k
Kale.
that draws a card. And then Kaba obviously gets either the Caulifla for free or tutors the Kale and then reduces the Kale. So, and with Caulifla you don't have any negatives on your Kale, so, you know, turn 1 Broly's Ring, turn 2 Kaba plus Caulifla, turn 3 Kale is looking like a real strong line of play in this format.
Yep.
I don't know. The thing is, though, the thing I worry about is that there are some really fast decks in this format, and from what I have seen, you know, green is as scary as all their cards are. I mean, in my initial testing, I've gotten, like, destroyed before I could even get, like, any of the chains out. Like, I can't get the 13 chain out or, like, the Cell chain. Like, I'm actually, like, too far behind against, like, red decks and Mecha Frieza decks before I can even do anything.
Yep. The color is just blessed with amazing cards, but the problem is
it's slow.
There's all the other colors just do more things on their first 3 to 4 turns.
So as overtuned as green's cards are, like, they might not even be a factor at all in this format. Like, if I had to guess, like, you know, because like I said, either it's too slow or their cards are too clunky right now, which is how I feel about the Zamasu cards. The Zamasu cards were, like, clearly designed for Zamasu and Goku Black. Maybe Goku Black has a shot, but Zamasu just has a way better, like, line of play just staying mono blue than to try any of these new cards, which is a shame because, like, Terra Scythe Goku Black might be, like, my favorite card in the whole set, or, like, damn near close. Because it's like literally everything you want. You're just like, you know, Time Ring was too cumbersome. Well, here, have a battle card that does that. Also, this card helps you stall. Also, this card is a relevant body.
Yep.
So, man.
Yeah, I don't think Zamasu can go blue, green. The problem with Goku Black is it can go blue-green, but if you don't lead off with double blue, you're going to have a hard time using
Yeah, you can't use your ability at all.
Yeah. I do think Hyper Rush Vegito is enough to make Vegito good, though. The SR Super Saiyan Blue Vegito. And
I forgot about this
yes.
card.
So, because he's named Vegito with 25 care less, that means you can get him off of
Lightning Speed
Vegito on 3. And there are, since the deck boxes have come out, there are 2 amazing lines of play to get Vegeta, that card into play crazy fast. So you can either go Kind Saiyan on 1 with the Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta in hand, that when you combo with it, it comes into play rested. Yep. So that is a strong play because it's a tutor, and then it staves off an aggressive start, which most decks in this format are looking like they're going to do. And then turn 3, you just obviously untap, go into Lightning Speed, and then you either go into this and completely destroy your opponent's hand and their board. And you could hit them for triple strike if you really wanted to at that point. I probably would stay reserved based on what the situation is. So that's obviously really good. Or you can get the Tournament Pack 2 Vegito, and that is a relevant beater that will let you basically self-awaken and keep you untapped at the same time. So, like, you have really, really good aggressive lines of play. That's the first one. The second one is the Comrades Combined package. You could just drop the Goku, and the Goku will get you a Vegeta. And like that in itself will let you Potara like very easily as well. You can't do any like crazy shenanigans like you can with Goku Black, but there's also the Trunks Creator of the Future line of play, where you can play Bulma, get from the future, get the Trunks Creator of the Future, play that card, attack with that card, bottom deck it, get Comrades Combine Goku. That'll get you the Vegeta. That lets you Potara. Like there's a lot of lines of play in Vegito right now that you can make some very impactful, aggressive plays in the first like 3 to 4 turns, and like that's really good. Like that makes me think that Vegito has a shot at making a comeback this format just because of this card, and they got a fair amount of support.
Mm-hmm.
So, any other thoughts, guys, on green? Oh yeah, there's one other thought I have on green, but I mean I'll open the floor up to you guys before we move on.
Did you want to talk about Android 13? Super Android 13, or should I?
Like I said, you feel free if you want to.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So Super Android 13. At first, I thought he was not that great until they actually revealed the 13 that puts him in play, and it made it a lot easier. So he has the Union Absorbability. They balanced it by giving it a 1 greed cost, but he Union Absorbs out of the drop area. And a lot of your cards, for example, the Android Negation card, has you putting a Speedy Surprise attack. So you get to KO something with 3 or less after you negate the attack. Your leader is an Android, and you discard a card from your hand. So you can do something like negate their attack, discard an Android 14 or 15, and KO something. And that will set you up later on down the line for your 13 play when you are Union Absorb into the Super 13. The Super 13 is pretty good if you can get him into play earlier through that. He kills a guy. So 13 kills a guy when he comes into play.
Yep.
Or no, your opponent. Your opponent chooses one of their battle cards and KOs it. So they go -1 guy. And then it's their turn. And then as long as your 13 survived, it comes back to you. And you Union Absorb, unless you do him on 5, and then you can Union Absorb on the same turn. Yeah. In that case, you get your 13. Your opponent chooses one of their battle cards and KOs it again. So that will trigger his second auto that says when one of your opponent's battle cards is placed in the drop area by any of your skills other than this one. Now, the reason it says other than this one is because that way it won't loop endlessly off of his second skill. So his first skill will trigger his second skill. His second skill will not trigger his own second skill again. So that causes them to discard a card from their hand when one of their guys is placed in the drop area from anywhere. So that means after they combo, by your skills.
Yeah.
No. So, but there's so many skills that you have that cause your opponent to discard battle cards or KO battle cards that once he's in play, right. that it's just going to keep going over and over, and you're just going to deplete your opponent's hand quite fast.
Yeah, you could
sell. Now, what I'd love to see is someone do Cell and Android 13 in the same deck.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's possible. It might be a little clunky and crowded, but I mean, if someone can pull it off, that would be
because like if you literally, you would basically be like, hey, I have Super 13 in play, and then I'm gonna Union Absorb all the way up to 7, drop Cell. You have to cut your hand. If any of the cards you discard are a battle card, you're going to 2 instead of 3.
And then if you want to use Cell Leader as well to have the KO on the Cell Leader,
then they have
to be able to get the extra.
Yep. Then they have to go.
Now, if they discard multiples through your effects at a time, each separate card will trigger his effect. So, for example, if you have Super Android 13 in play, and you play Kale, and you KO, let's say, 3 of their guys, that's 3 triggers on Super 13.
Is that how that works? Because I was saying, I thought it was each instance. Yeah.
No, when one of your opponent's battle cards is placed in the drop area by any of your skills other than this one. So you have one KO.
So if they use Cell Absorption them, and they literally have
if you Cell Absorption them and they have to discard 2 battle cards,
then they have to discard 4.
Correct.
That's kind of nuts.
Yeah.
So yeah, that makes him a lot stronger than I thought. The card I think is the most overrated though, and that's the last thing I'll say about Gree. I think that To Save a Hopeful Future is pretty overrated right now. I mean, I agree. I could be wrong.
No, I agree. That card looks cool, but I don't think it's...
Well, because the thing is, like, I've seen people posting that they're going to pay, like, 3 copies of it. Again, doesn't do anything in your hand in desperate situations because it's a high-cost extra card. Triple green symbol means you're not ramping this card out. Like, it's not happening because green is a slow color.
I could see playing
like 1 copy. I think 1 copy.
1 copy to act as like a 5th copy of a card, like a Super Saiyan Gotenks or something.
And the other thing I don't think a lot of people are thinking about, Overwhelm is very prevalent in a lot of these faster decks. If there could be a time where you draw this card and you don't have anything of value to resurrect because your yard is
because you've already overwhelmed your graveyard.
So. Yeah, I keep saying people saying it's like a staple because it's 4 mana to get my 5-drop Gotenks. Like, I don't know. Like maybe it might be better than I'm giving it credit, but like right now, like 1 is the number in my opinion. Singleton feels good.
It's just extra redundancy.
Okay, so now we save the I don't say the best for last because black is still a color, but like now we have to talk about yellow.
Yep.
Oh, thank God.
Matt's been like, I've been waiting for the last like hour.
This is the only color I really care about.
I think it's the color that like 90% of the people care about. Like even Anthony Hernandez is like, yo, I got like 4 yellow lists for this set. Well, what about the other colors? What? Other colors?
Like I don't even really want to buy sealed product. I just want to buy yellow singles. Like and that's all I really care about.
Okay.
No, it's definitely the yellow cards themselves. The leaders, I don't know about the leaders.
I do enjoy Kid Goku.
Kid Goku. Kid Goku is a really interesting blue-yellow leader.
Yeah,
I agree with that. Blue-yellow, definitely blue-yellow.
He makes some really
because you get 8 targets.
And his back,
12
his backside makes Death Razor so good.
Bulma Future doesn't count.
No.
No, choose up to 1 Bulma among them, which is the character name.
Yep.
Yeah, dude. His leader card makes Death Razor relevant.
Yes, he does.
Yes.
Which is really dope.
The thing is, he can't play Cold Bloodlust. He's a perfect control leader. He just doesn't have the other card.
Dude, but he can play Crusher Ball and then tap down the dude. He can freeze the dude for an entire turn.
Yeah.
His ability itself can do it. That's just so good.
Yeah.
Right, because you don't have to pick the same.
Yeah, you can tap a blocker and freeze a beater.
Oh god, so good.
Yeah, he is quite good. I'm not gonna say he's not good. He's definitely better. He is leagues and miles better than Bardock. Bardock may be in contention for one of the. I'm not gonna say worst leaders, but he might be. He's very far down there in this set. I see very little reason to be playing Bardock.
Yeah.
Like Bardock.
I agree with that.
Bardock,
even though he draws off a leader attack every turn on the front side.
Yeah, his front side is fine. It's just the back side is literally like this leader does nothing unless you are literally getting destroyed right now.
Yeah, literally. You have to be losing guys constantly to make him larger on your opponent's turn, and it's once per turn.
Yes.
So
yeah, like that card is, again, for those of you guys who watch my other videos, those of you who don't, I always talk about the difference between liberal and conservative design. Liberal players are just like, I'm gonna make 7-drop Union Absorb Cell. I'm gonna make Cell Leader, like the super overpowered stuff with like no real checks, and they're just blatantly good in everything. You know, and then there is the conservative designer, like, I think it'd be really flavorful if Bardock got stronger when his comrades died, but I don't want it to be too strong. So like, and then yeah, that's how you arrive at this card. So
yes.
I can't figure it out. I think the design team for this game is 3 to 4 people, if I recall correctly. I think it's 3 liberal designers and like 1 conservative, or like 2 like incredibly liberal and 1 conservative. They say it's a team effort, but like, there's always one guy. There's always one guy that's like, I want to make the really underpowered but cool card because it's flavorful, and you're just like, okay.
Unfortunately, Bardock is not cool. He's just underpowered.
Speaking of, yeah, because the guy who made the Bardock leader, I guarantee you is the guy that made the 5, 6, and 7, because I don't think any of them are good. So, I mean, you guys feel free to add your...
What you think? So you think the 7-drop SR Bardock is not good?
The guy who made the 7-drop SR Bardock was like, I really tried with my 7-drop Gold Frieza and my 4-drop Tournament Pack 2 Frieza. This time I'll show him.
I mean, if you do evolve into the 7-drop,
oh, it's savage.
You win the game.
Yeah.
Like your opponent they have just their hand.
Yeah. But you know what else costs 7 mana and completely savages your opponent, doesn't require crazy setup? Piercing
No, dude,
Super
tell me.
Saiyan 2 Gohan.
Stop, dude. Don't talk about that card, dude.
What does that card even do?
Stop.
I don't think anyone knows what that card does.
It's the best finisher ever. Leave it alone.
No, it's not.
Not anymore.
It's been dethroned.
I know. It's good.
I'm like waiting for that card because like I'm gonna rant all over that card.
I know exactly what card you're waiting for.
The at least to me, the obvious best card in the color, and probably the best super rare, my pick for best super rare in the set, is Explosive Spirit Son Goku. That's my pick for best SR in the set. Card just does it all, man.
Yep. Yes, this card is.
Card does it all.
It's my favorite card as well from Yellow.
I mean, card does it all. It's just like Death Razor on a barrier blocker that literally chips your opponent's front side leader for no neg value. Yup, bring it on. Card literally is Death Razor that sets your opponent's life to 5, and negates an attack once in a game. If it's a freebie negate once a game, does it all.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. I was testing with that, and so that card's been insane. And also, just I wanted to see how good No Opening Son Goku was. Basically, the Self Awakening card for Yellow. That card is just absurd. Oh my god, my dog is snoring.
Great card in Gold Frieza.
Yeah. Oh no, it's just in Kid Goku in any Yellow deck. Like just having this has just been a huge boon.
For you guys that don't know, it's basically Occupation Frieza, but you can only use it on your turn. But if you do, you take a life to hand. But that's not the initial play. If it somehow makes it back to you and the card is still in play and in active mode, you can pay 1 to combo with it for 10k again and get another life.
Correct.
So
because it doesn't have to come from hand.
Yeah, they basically have to be like, oh, I have to put priority on this or he will awaken off this card.
It's so good. It's
kind of one of those things that Yellow needed, and it's a really cool and interesting way. You know, I really like the design of that card. The card's really cool.
Yeah, and then of course you have the Dash Pack Great Ape Prince Vegeta, which is probably the most sought after Dash Pack card.
I agree with that. Like originally we were just like he might be second or third, but after actually sitting down and playing Apes, you're just like I need 4. And yeah, Apes is a thing. Like I don't think Apes is gonna go anywhere for a while. The Apes archetype, like the 3-drop King Vegeta, the Fasha and the Tora are all cute, you know, and the Tora and the Fasha Ape are good enough to actually be played, but like you're not really going for their auto triggers, at least I find. Like they're just kind of the filler because they let us get value off of the real broken cards. So Planet Vegeta is dumb. Like that's
what? Stop.
That's the best field spell ever printed, and it's just absurd, especially if your
It
leader
does
is mecha.
so much.
So for 1 yellow, you can tutor any Saiyan that costs 4 less. Not an ape, not a yellow Saiyan, any Saiyan.
Any Saiyan.
So pick your poison, man. You want to set up your... I'm pretty sure Mighty Mask is a Saiyan. You could just set up your Mighty Mask line of play. You want to get Kale and guarantee it for later on? Great.
I'm going to get my Time Patrol Trunks, man.
I'm going to get my Time Patrol top deck this. Need to draw an out? Cool. Let's get Time Patrol Trunks. You know, you're a madman and you're playing like green, yellow, Cell for some reason? Sure, let's get them Kid Trunks combos right now so we have them for the late game.
Yep.
Just absolutely nuts. And then it's like, oh, by the way, all of the like, you know, amazing crit blocker 20k bodies that you're gonna, you know, play in apes, yeah, they all untap. So you get, you know, every turn, all of them. Not like, you know, choose 2. No, literally all of them. So like apes is just like, yeah. So if your opponent, you somehow manage to stick a couple of apes, really difficult to deal with them. You know, but it's okay though because they all cost like 4 and 5, so you're not going to be able to spam them out. And then they make March of the Great Ape.
Yeah,
What do you mean? You don't think that card's balanced?
They're just like, oh, 4 costs, put 2 Great Apes into play. That would be
and then
fun.
draw.
That would be fine. If it literally was,
two.
they were just like, well, you go -3 when you play this card. Yeah, but you get a huge board. But you go -3, so now we have to draw 2 cards.
I'd rather go -0.
Oh yeah, I'd rather go play Mecha Frieza and go -0.
Play this on 3.
I've seen it as early as turn 2, man. Like it.
That's true. Oh yeah, I have done it on turn 2.
We were talking before. We were talking about it before this. You know, we started recording this. Like, it would not surprise me in the slightest if Mecha Frieza got errated to once per turn this format. It would not even...
It would, I think we're going to get to a point where it has to, because just March of the Great Apes, say if you just have 2 Great Ape Prince Vegetas in hand, plop them both down.
Oh, like, absolutely. Yeah.
Like, what do you do? And if that's your turn 2 play...
Yep.
If you hit the nuts, like...
Now, yeah, that's the thing. So, Apes has 2 forms. There's, like, the mono-ish yellow deck where it's like, I'm playing Apes and I'm just having fun. Or you go Hyper Meme combo deck, where you're just, like, turn 2 Awakening with Mecha Frieza, and at the same time, you're playing March of the Great Apes, and you're getting 2 Vegetas in play, and then you're playing Shugesh, and you're putting the little King Vegeta in play, and you're searching up your Evolve target
I've
King
seen,
Vegeta Great Ape, and then your next turn playing the Great Ape King Vegeta, and now all your combo cards cost 0 in your hand.
King Vegeta,
and you just like are beating down.
Every set has like the, hey, this is the clearly overtuned 5-drop that should have been a 6-drop. It was Gotenks for the previous 2 sets. It is King Vegeta for this set.
Hands down. Evolve for 3.
Evolve for 3, 25k double strike. Gives like basically the whole deck barrier, which as we already talked about is a mistake.
And then
it's
you
like,
can combo
by the way,
with everything.
You can clearly tap out for this card because all your combo costs are 0.
Yep.
Like, what?
Seems pretty good. Now, I mentioned Shugesh. Shugesh has 2 amazing targets. One is King Vegeta, obviously, to set up for the Great Ape next turn. But then, you guys can talk about your little thing with...
No, we're not.
No, we're not going to talk about it.
Table that. We will table the Shugesh conversation for a later video. We will literally be here all night.
There's so much you can do with that card.
I believe our listeners are smart enough to figure out what it is. Like, they'll figure out. I do like, though, that there is some really sick synergy with Shugesh, though. Like, just you can do some really cool things. Like, there's Bundle. And then I do like Borgos or whatever his name is. I think he's kind of an interesting card. Kind of cool control card. I don't know how good he's going to end up being. And I also do like Nappa. I just don't know if Nappa is good enough for Constructed. A 3-drop 25.
He's not bald enough.
Yeah. He's not bald. 3-drop 25k, basically vanilla. I mean, he's only single strike, but seems decent.
I think he'll be good in draft.
I'm trying to think other cards to talk about. Obviously, Bulma is very good.
We
don't need to talk about Bulma.
Yeah, we don't need... Yeah, just yellow draw card, just basically yellow's boo. I was thinking about it because I was playing games last night, and I just wanted to test out the different ape cards, of course. But the Rampaging Great Ape Son Goku, I really like it as a sideboard card. Main reason why is because if you bring it in on the play, and you get to actually play it on your 4th turn, and it sets your opponent back almost 2 turns.
Mm-hmm.
So I do like how they made a card like that, which for me, when I played it in a regular game, and it felt good when I did it, but I was also on the play that game, so I could see that also being like a card that you could bring in to sideboarded games, which just creates a unique thing to do.
No, I actually just like the
Oh,
card.
and he's critical and blocker.
Yeah, exactly. He's great.
I main board him. I actually like him quite a bit.
Yeah.
I think he is the
And you play so many Gokus in the deck.
He's the 3rd best ape, in my opinion. Like, the very clear top tier apes are Dashback Vegeta, King Vegeta, and Kid Goku. Like, they are so far above a cut of the other two. Like, Fasha is clearly the worst one.
Yeah, especially because you can 3 play Explosive Spirits on Goku. He has Barrier, and then on 4 evolve it into Rampaging Great Ape.
Mm-hmm.
If you need to, if that's the play, if that's the plays you have to make for the game.
So
if it's a more underpowered draw.
And then in my opinion, Bardock is pretty much the bottom tier ape, but that he's too expensive to go for. The deck is already like, it doesn't need much. Like, it literally just is like, you just need 20k crit blockers. Just keep playing more 20k crit blockers. I guarantee you will just whittle your opponent down. And because like King Vegeta gives them all barrier, like, it gets out of hand very quickly. Like,
yep. And Planet Vegeta, they all untap.
Boys, get your Jirins now, is all I'm gonna say.
Whew.
I don't know what people's fascination, or at least from where I like at my locals, people seem to be very, very hype on Bergamo. I think that card is just a really bad version of Android 16, but so. Also, in my brief playtesting, I feel like I originally was like, Flying Nimbus, it's great, man. Like, I'm gonna end up playing this over like Coercion because it's like, it's the new thing, it's great. And then after having played with it, I'm just like, this card might end up being a sideboard because it's clearly not good against every matchup. I actually was like, hey, this card's really good at stopping aggro. And then it was like, well, you stop their battle card, then discard the yellow, then they attack you with a second battle card, then they attack you with your leader, and you're like, oh, so this card like really doesn't work unless the card you negate with it is a leader.
Right. Yeah, you can easily play around this card if you know your opponent's playing it.
If your opponent, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's probably it's going to end up being, I think, a sideboard card. If you mainboard this card, man, and your opponent sees it game 1, whoo, man, you're going to get blown out at some point during the game.
I'd say it's really good sideboard against just Vegeta and Trunks decks because they're leader-based attack decks. So I mean, you could just have this in your board against those based aggro, those types of aggro decks.
This card does jack squat against Soul Striker. Like,
oh yeah, of course.
Because their sequence of play is always battle card, leader, battle card, which falls right into the trap of this card.
Yeah.
So, that card is but not much more I think to say about yellow. Like, yellow just has like a lot of either very bad or like extremely good cards.
It has to be definitively like has the most it's the most powerful stuff that I've seen right now when it comes to the competitive landscape.
Yeah, Yellow will be a force in competitive. Like, mark my words. I don't know how you guys feel, but like, yeah, it is going to be everywhere. I feel like at the start of the point. Like, if you're looking now to try and find the meta game or like the counter meta game, apes, apes.
Yeah.
So now we can go and talk about the last color, which is Goku Black.
Goku Black?
No, I'm just kidding. It's black.
Oh, that's right.
As far
the
as
colorless cost cards, right? Because black is actually colorless, guys.
Yeah.
Is
so as far as leaders, I think all 3 black leaders are quite good. I feel like Bardock is probably the top tier of them, with Mira coming just shy of second. I think Trunks is probably the worst one, but I don't think Trunks is bad at all. I think Trunks is still quite good.
Yeah, all the leaders are incredibly playable.
Right. It's just the thing about Mira, for example, is that he is an android. He cares about green cards, so you can play an android deck.
Yeah, you don't even have to play an android deck. You can literally just play 4 create androids with this guy and play a black deck, and you are just a-okay.
You're just doing it. Or you can play the cell chain with him as well.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
Because he's android leader.
Yeah.
Because that's smart.
Yeah.
And I honestly like playing cell chain decks with Overrealm, because once they kill your cells, that's 5 cards that goes to the drop area.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
The thing is...
And he happens to want 5 cards in his warp, so...
Yeah.
Give you the 5 cards to your drop, you play...
And you have critical for the whole game. So, yeah, he is quite good. He is very solid. I would not be surprised in the slightest if anybody tops a regional with Mira. Same thing with Bardock. Like Bardock is, I feel like, going to eventually, like, or I say Bardock, but I mean Mass Saiyan. I feel like Mass Saiyan may eventually replace Vegeta. I'm not quite sure, but like he's just very good. He's like I feel like he's on the same power level as Vegeta.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, and we already know how good Vegeta is. Like,
it's just they're leaders that facilitate giving you things for free.
Mm-hmm. Just looking at the other cards in the set, SS3 Bardock Power Unleashed, I think is a solid card. If the format slows down just a little tiny bit in some way, I think this card's a great one of every deck. Just out of nowhere, surprise, bam, 30k triple striker for pretty cheap.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's actually, he's a decent card. I just don't think I would ever play more than one.
Yeah. Did you guys see I'm pretty certain you did the Dash Pack Mass Saiyan?
Yes.
He's not Dash Pack. He is the Special Pack.
He is good.
Oh, Special Pack.
Originally, I wasn't really that high on him, but after talking to Botchus, I'll let you talk about what you and Anthony Varelli were talking about. So.
Right. So, Increasing Evil Mass Saiyan is pretty much a colorless flip engine. So, a lot of leaders that don't self-flip have to find random ways to flip themselves.
Mm-hmm.
This guy is just a good example of something that gives you not only a way to flip, but he's also removal.
Yeah, it's basically
all in one.
It's basically an energy boost Beerus that
it costs 0.
That awakens you for no cost.
Right. Well, he costs 1. You do have to pay 1 energy.
Yeah, he's over on.
Okay.
Yeah, he's basically, instead of playing the 5-drop one that we currently have that like warps the board, you're paying. It's the same. I think it's still over realm 5. It's over realm 5. I believe.
It's over realm 4.
4, and then pay 1 energy.
Yeah, and then you basically get to take a life to hand, which is great. Like,
right. So you're replacing the card. He's going to be going to warp, but it doesn't matter. You're getting rid of a 5 or less energy cost battle card. You're getting a life to hand, which might awaken you, which is just going to give you a ton more options from that point. So I think he's worth looking at in leaders who don't really have a good way to flip. Maybe Golden Frieza could use him over Vegeta, Furious Yell Vegeta, because you don't get the card to hand with Vegeta, and you're tapping out 4 mana for him, or 4 energy. Whereas this guy, you are feeding your discard pile in Golden Frieza anyways, chumping off your little Frieza army guys, right? Frieza army, not Frieza clan. So Frieza army, you're you play your Avenging Friezas, you play your Sorbets, you play your Goldos, you get value out of them, and then they're gone. So getting up to 4 cards in the discard pile is actually pretty easy for Gold Frieza. And then you just pay 1 and you get to flip and warp one of their guys.
It is nice.
Any card that warps something instead of discarding it is going to be mostly good, very, very, very rarely bad for you. Some cards care about cards in warp. The black leaders, for example, Mira. If you warp a bunch of their guys with Mass Saiyan, you're actually feeding Mira. But most often, warping their characters is just not going to be good for them, because that way it
denies people trying to play Time Patrol Trunks and other stuff.
Correct.
Looking at over the other cards, the generic
Dimension Breaker Mira.
The generically good card from the black cards is obviously Relentless Destruction Mira. Card is very, for you guys who don't know, it's over realm 3. When it comes into play, your opponent chooses a card in their hand and discards it.
Yes.
Just generically good. Cell decks are going to play it. Just letting you know now. They might not play Time Patrol Trunks. They might just play 4 copies of this. They care about eating your hand. This card just eats your hand.
Yes, and he is an android, so that you can search it with Jiro.
Yep.
Not the 2-drop Jiro, the 1-drop Jiro.
The 1-drop
the top cards.
Correct. So one of my favorite things in the entire set, design-wise, is Toa. I love Toa. But I don't think that Toa is good enough to see play, but I'm going to try my damnedest to play her. So Toa, the 1-drop, looks at the top 7 for either a Mira or a Mass Saiyan, which obviously you just play it in a deck with a fair amount of Mass Saiyans or Miras. Like, those cards are just generically good. That's great. The thing is, she also has the 4-drop. So the 4-drop, you have to pay 4 to evolve into another Toa. So you either have to evolve the 1-drop or the Overwhelm one that we currently have, which when that comes into play, when you Overwhelm that card, it steals a 2-drop or less and you keep it permanently. So the Living the Dream is literally you Overwhelm the 4-drop one, steal a guy, and then pay 4 and Xeno evolve into the 4-drop Toa, and that lets you steal one of your opponent's guys of your choice. It doesn't have to be 2 or less, it has to be 6 or less, and you keep it forever.
And it switches it to active mode.
And it switches to active mode, and you get to attack with it immediately. That card is so cool for a control player. I love this card. But I don't know if it's good enough. I'll have to see how I can get it to work, but like, if I somehow happen to have a fair amount of, Mass Saiyans, like I played like maybe 2 of the one that are in Warp, I might actually try to play like the 1-drop into 4-drop combo, and then also play the current 4-drop we have and see if I can get like Live the Dream and just steal guys. It might not be possible, format might not be fast enough, but yeah.
You know what I'd love to see is like a blue-black Soul Striker, because then you're getting mana back, so you're tapping 4 for her, you're stealing their guy, you're attacking with your leader, you're untapping, you can play the Bardock, the Mass Saiyan that awakens you.
Honestly,
so you get a life card to hand.
Honestly, Super Saiyan 3 Goku feels like he might be better suited for that, because he gets to Toa.
That's also true.
He gets to Toa much quicker. So like maybe that's a deck I want to try to do, is like literally just steal all my opponent's guys with Toa and kill them with their own guys.
Yeah.
And in that case, like, I don't care if you play removal spells, because I'm just going to take your guys again after you remove them. So yeah, that like I said, I think it's a super cool combo. I would love to see if I can get it to work. I like playing control cards, which, speaking of control cards, because the way control cards work are they limit your opponent's options until you drop a giant finisher. In my opinion, like, I mean, if you guys have seen any of my previous videos, I think Fu is ridiculous. I think Fu is
we finally got into Fu.
Fu is, as a designer, is, oh my goodness, like, why? So he is Overwhelm 10, he costs 6 colorless. When you play this card using Overwhelm, your opponent can't activate skills on cards other than their leader card until the beginning of your next turn. A skill is basically any effect on a card. Anything. So when you drop Fu, blocker is off the table, negating attacks is off the table, playing super combo cards is off the table, playing Sensu Bean is off the table. So like, when you drop Fu, if your board is sizable at all, that's it. It's lights out. And if you somehow manage to not kill them, their next turn, every card in their hand has no effect text. So
except for
their leader. The leader.
Double Strike. Stuff like that. Because that's not an activated effect. So Double Strike will still stay, Critical will still stay.
Yeah. But your cards
they'll have the abilities, but they won't be able to activate them.
Correct.
So
yeah. So, like, it's basically like, if you don't manage to kill somebody with Fu, if you resolve it and don't kill them with Fu, odds are they're not killing you back. So you get another chance to do it again. And if you can somehow get 10 cards in the drop area, you can just do it again. Which
dude, that's why you play Zamasu.
Which is why I said most improved leader in this set. You can very easily ramp up to Fu, awaken your leader, drop Joyful Strike, mill 10, play Fu, and try to kill your opponent. And if you don't do it, next turn, play another Joyful Strike, Fu. So yeah, that's deck type, and that is like my little current pet project is to try.
Unless, of course, your last two foos are in either the bottom card of your deck.
We don't even talk
cards,
about this. So this
or
is,
it's the one card
this
in your
is
life
what,
deck.
earlier in the show we mentioned how Pan can win via mill, and that was because I played my friend Eddie, and I had 4 foos in my deck, and I lost due to deck out because the last card in my deck was foo, and I had 1 card in my life, and that was also foo, and the other 2 are in my drop area from like the very beginning of the game. So, literally,
That's why you play. That's why you play 6 copies, dude.
Yeah, I literally drew my entire deck, and the configuration was in just the right way, where there was no way for me to actually resolve the winning condition in the deck. So yeah, Zamasu with Foo shrouded in mystery. Definitely think that is a real deck archetype, because it can go quite quick with Objection, Luis Resting Attendant, and West Kai. You can get this boy live on turn 3 or 4. So, definitely a real deck. So, I don't know how good or bad it will be competitive-wise, but like in terms of raw power level, I think Fu is the most powerful battle card, because I made a previous video about it. Anytime you play a card that literally says your opponent just can't do anything, and there's no way for them to really interact with it besides Cold Bloodlust, that's infuriating, at least to me. So basically his only real check in the game is Cold Bloodlust. Otherwise, like, you're just dunking your opponent, and there's nothing they can do about it. They just take it. So obviously he's not going to be super amazing against Cold Bloodlust if they have it. But the thing is, the Zamasu leader is so fast and has the pieces already in his deck anyway. You can just side out all your foos for 10-drop Zamasus, and that card doesn't give a crap about Cold Bloodlust. That card will still just destroy them. So that's why I think Zamasu is just really solid in general.
Yeah.
So.
And then the 2 sideboard cards.
Oh, I love
Shun
them.
Shun and Haru Haru.
Shun Shun and Haru Haru, yeah.
I think Haru Haru is better than Shun Shun because Haru Haru is critical and it actually untaps an extra energy beyond its cost.
Yes.
So if your opponent's playing a green or yellow leader, which obviously you'll side into this if they're playing green or yellow,
and then you just drop 4.
you get to untap 4. So you play him for 3, untap for 4. So you play something. You play a 1-drop. You play this. You untap 4. So you get all your mana back, and then you mill 2, which feeds Overwhelm, and then it's critical. So critical is always good.
Mm-hmm. I really wish that Shunshin Protector Majin had Barrier, because this is like the one card I feel like that you'd want it on. Because like this card really should have had Barrier. This is like the, hey, my opponent's trying to play aggro, let me hose them with my 3-drop blocker. So like this is the card that should have been the card that hoses the red or blue aggro.
Correct.
Because it's the blocker that's meant for that, and it's huge, but it's a 3-drop that doesn't have Barrier. So like every Vegeta and Trunks deck under the sun already plays Sun Goten, and this card is also the one that should have refunded the mana for the same reason. So I do think Haru Haru is really good. For Shunshin, I would probably just play the red Cyber Dragon guy. Was it Ledric or whatever that we were talking about?
Ledric.
Yeah, I would just play that instead. No matter what color you're in, because you don't have to pay his cost. It's just if you're getting destroyed by aggro, cool, free blocker. So yeah. Speaking of things that are good against aggro, Time's Judgment. I think Time's Judgment is a great sideboard card against aggro. Basically.
Yeah, because it's just reusable negates.
It's just a reusable negate, because what ends up happening, and it also fills your Overrealm. So you basically just take a ton of attacks, get that like 13-card hand that the aggro decks are trying to give you, and then when they go for like the shotgun, you just keep going negate, 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 and then you'll eventually get to the extra, like the later turns, by burning through your hand, and then you'll just drop like your one big guy your one big sweeper and kill them. So,
exactly.
So they definitely did a pretty solid job of helping against aggro. My only problem is that, you know, you might not get a chance to assemble like the couple of pieces to stave off how fast some of these decks really are now. So that covers just about everything. So before we sign out of here, Anybody have like you want to take a stab at what you think the format's gonna look like at the end of the set, not the beginning, but at the end of the set? What do you think the like, let's say the two most prevalent leaders are in the format?
Honestly, I think Android with cell chain .deck. So whether it be Mira or Android leader, and then that archetype, and then I think Mecha Frieza standing on the other side. I think those will end up being the two best decks in the format. I think there's a bunch of stuff that can fit in between, a bunch of stuff that'll be tier 1, but to me, those are the two archetypes that just feel like they have so much going for them that, you know, you have the best players putting deck lists together and playing a bunch of games that eventually you're going to find something that's just going to be really tough to beat. So I think they'll end up being consistent performers.
Mm-hmm.
I actually agree with that. And mostly Android 17 leader, maybe Cell, Mira. I've seen it, you know, on paper. He seems good. I'd actually have to play with Mira a little bit more to see his actual impact. But other than that, I think Apes, even though I call it the super combo meme deck, it's still going to be like, it will evolve and change, and people will find little tweaks to it that will make it more consistent.
All right, so my pick is obviously Mecha. Just like Mecha in general is going to be, he's so pivotal in this fight. I don't know what kind of deck he's going to be in, but like he's definitely like the leader unless he gets like errated for some reason, because he does like quite a bit in this format, a lot more than other leaders. So like he basically just got like a slew of buffs, so he's gonna make a comeback. So assuming that Mecha doesn't get changed, if Mecha does get changed, my pick is either on Galactic or Gold Frieza as the control pick, and then the other one is Mass Saiyan. I think Mass Saiyan, the PPG guys will find a way to break Mass Saiyan. I do. I think a player of, like, you know, Marcel's caliber will make that leader just really shine. I fully expect him to switch unless he really, really loves Vegeta that much. So
even with the slight Vegeta in there,
yeah.
So.
It's hard to not want to play a leader like Mira, who gives you the crit, and then also has the synergy with being able to play cell chain. Like, it's really hard for me to not just, like, as a person that likes to, what if I could play aggro and at the same time just deny my opponent's cards throughout the course of the game and play stuff for free because of over.
Yes, I know. Mira is probably my number 3 pick. I'm a little bit.
Yeah.
I think that Mass Saiyan's a little bit more straightforward and quick. Mira, I found from what little I've played with him, is that he can sometimes have slow hands. Like, not, and like that's enough. Like, whereas like Mecha, when Mecha is built properly, like when he's streamlined, he is so fast. And then Bardock is the same way. He is so fast. Like no matter what, every hand you're just like, I am in it. I have just straight gasoline. And that's why I think that those on the two, you know, ends of the spectrum, like the control leader is Mecha, Mass Saiyan is the aggro. With Mira and Pan, I feel like not being too far behind. Mira, Pan, and Cell.
And then you still have starter deck Goku, and of course the newest Goku playing a role.
Blue Goku, yeah.
Right.
I think, at the start of everything, it's going to be very diverse. Everyone's going to be trying different things. You'll have the people sticking to the tried and true, you know, starter Goku, trying to make him bad. They eventually might move away and try and pick something else up. But you're going to see just a lot of crazy stuff everywhere. When is San Jose the regional after Set 3 releases?
Yes, it is.
So that's going to be when everyone's,
honestly,
you know, all eyes on that event for whatever the next big thing might be. Or it could just be absolutely crazy. Everyone's playing all random different stuff, and no one's going to know what.
I could see, like, even like I said, even Vegito doesn't feel like too bad to me, just because he's got the Red Saiyan negate and then Topo, and then also the Cyber Dragon card. Like, that in itself with the aggro shell is also good enough, I feel like, to compete.
Yeah.
So,
I will make the prediction right now. At least 5 different types of decks in top 8.
I agree with you.
5 different leaders. in top 8.
I could see though for the first event that
After
a rant,
Gen 3, the first major event, just a huge range of all sorts of leaders.
then I see just a basic Vegeta deck winning the event.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Of course,
literally,
that's what's gonna happen.
what's gonna happen is it'll be like literally like 6 new leaders, and then like Peter
Starter
Katani,
Goku and Vegeta.
Peter Katani with some like crazy deck that we've all never seen, and we're like, that's amazing. And then Marcel with literally an unchanged Vegeta deck. No set 3 cards in it at all. Literally the current Vegeta list he's playing. Like
Make it happen. Make it happen.
Make it happen.
Let's see.
Prove it to us, guys. So, any other last minute, things you guys want to add?
No, I'm sleepy.
Okay, you're sleepy. All right. In that case, boys, we are done here. So
We are done for now.
it is quite a huge podcast. Like for the first one, we wanted to go big or go home. Obviously, the other ones won't be quite this long, but hopefully you guys enjoy it, and hopefully we will be able to crank these boys out maybe weekly or bi-weekly. We haven't really thought about it, but yeah, so there you go. The next one will be on Matt Coombs' channel on 3XG Productions, so look forward to that. So I am Pat.
I am Matt.
And I am Nick.
No, you're Nat. Until next time.
Oh, God.
Until next time, boys. See ya.